The Prackrite Golf Trainer has two main functions. It is not only a great device for practicing your swing, but it is also a very useful diagnostic tool to enable you to analyse where you are going wrong with shots. The purpose of this short video is to enhance the effectiveness of both these functions. To this end, we are going to identify 5 areas where most golfers build complications into their swing. We will then show you a few simple drills, all based around an even more simple and fundamental drill, which we call the whip. Most people think that in order to hit the ball, they have to muscle it with either a big move, resulting in an overswing, or gripping the club so tightly rubber oozes between their fingers. However, with the simple whip drill, you can see how the fundamentals of a golf swing ought to be. Take the head of a golf club, preferably a wood or a long iron. Use a light grip and let your hands and arms swing the club. There should be very little body movement. The main purpose of the drill is to create club head speed without much body movement. The only way to achieve this is with a very light whipping action. The first thing that the whip shows you is that there is very little need to move your lower body, and in fact you have a better chance of hitting the ball properly if your lower body is stable. You can see that there is very little movement when you use the whip drill. As you can see, there's very little movement in a properly executed golf swing. The common fault that a lot of people have are swaying off the ball or a reverse pivoting. These both tend to be power-reducing moves. You must remember to keep your weight between the instep of both feet, on the way back and on the way through. We are going to show you 3 simple drills to help overcome these problems. First, when you practice the whip drill, you can clearly see and feel that there is very little need to move your lower body. By constantly referring back to this drill, you will begin to understand how it feels to be more stable when you practice your shots. A second very effective drill to help reduce lower body movement is to practice hitting the ball with both feet together, preferably with a 7 or 8 iron. You can see here this exercise takes away most lower body movement. A third drill is to practice hitting with your feet apart in a normal address position and focus on keeping your weight between your feet when you are hitting the ball. The second thing the whip shows you is whether or not you are moving your upper body excessively. You can see how with the whip the movement is more hands and arms. The only movement being made is when the club head drags the upper body around to your follow-through. A fault that many golfers make is that from the top of the swing they try to hit with their upper body, which is called coming over the top of the ball. The over-the-top move has the club travelling from outside to in. It's easy to see how the body is pulling the club head off the intended target line. A great drill to overcome this problem is to place 2 small targets such as these tees on a slightly in-to-out path across the strike mat. This helps you focus on swinging the club head more from inside to out. You can also see how the weight is transferred nicely onto the left side to a balanced finish. Another fault that many golfers have is that they try to use brute strength to muscle the ball. Usually they grip the club tightly and make a very rigid, uncoordinated jolt at the ball. The result of gripping the club too tightly is that it produces tension in the wrists and forearms, which leaves you standing over the ball in a knot. A lack of flexibility in the wrists and forearms produces a very weak shot. However, using the whip drill, you can see how a much lighter grip allows the club to swing more freely and generates far more club head speed. You can see here by gripping the club too tightly, the club head travels much slower and the body moves much more as well. So the key to increasing club head speed is by lightening your grip and therefore allowing the club head to swing more freely. Remember, it is not powerless effort, but effortless power that produces a good swing. Now that you have your club swinging freely, you need to make sure that you have the speed in the right area of the swing. Most golfers hit at the ball too much. They then end up with a very abbreviated follow-through. The area of your swing you want the club head travelling fastest at is just prior to impact and just past impact as demonstrated. It is pointless having the power anywhere else. Use the golf trainer to do this simple drill. Take the club head with a light grip, keeping your wrists and forearms free of tension, and try to allow the club head to accelerate past the ball. Try not to visualize hitting the ball, but an area slightly past it. If you do this drill correctly, you will finish in a very balanced position with your weight around onto your left leg. The fourth area we're going to look at relates to the length of the swing. A major problem that many golfers have is they feel in order to hit the ball a long way, they have to make a huge swing at the ball. As you can see, for most golfers, this results in a loss of club control and also a loss of balance. Again, you can see how the whip drill is so beneficial. The actual swing is very short, but it still generates enormous power. The notion that in order to hit a long shot you need a long swing is clearly a myth. Using your Prackrite golf trainer, try to feel as though you are starting your downswing well before you complete your backswing. This will result in a much shorter swing, but more importantly, it points up the real secret to the whip. While your club is moving back, your hand and arms are moving in the opposite direction, producing a whip at the ball. This move helps generate enormous power as your weight shifts onto your left side.
Here are some handy tips that might help you prolong the life of your Prackrite golf trainer. Firstly, make sure you always keep the backing piece of your recorder pad, and when you're finished with your recorder pad, always return it to the shiny surface of the backing paper. Secondly, if you ever find that you either lose or damage both of your recorder pads, you'll find that if you go down to a hardware store, you can buy Velcro style material that you can use just as easily. If you find that you're hitting the mat around a lot, a good idea might be to fasten it to a heavy board so that the mat doesn't move. It's always a good idea to hit the ball up against a solid surface or a wall to make sure that you don't lose the ball. The manufacturers of the Prackrite golf trainer wish you every success in improving your golf.